tackle. There are 6 agains given where they're not on one side and they're not given on the other. Talk about grasping at bloody straws. This is grasping at straws at the very end of the freaking rainbow, if you ask me.
So it was going to be a significant call one way or the other, wasn't it? Where Sam Tompkins ended up basically.
They're all significant. They're all significant all the way through the game.
No, but this has a greater significance because it was closer to the end of the game.
If you score a try in the first minute, it scores the same number of points as if you score a try in the last minute. I don't buy this. I think it's bullshit.
I think in a 2-point game with 3 minutes left on the clock,
it's bullshit.
Anyway, shall we actually? Anyone who can't remember the incident,
if Garcia's sin-binned in the first half, Saints could go on and score another 2 or 3 tries.
If Mathieu was sin-binned in the first half,
it's all relevant. It's all irrelevant.
If Mathieu was sin-binned or sent off like he should have been, then
if Maloney's sin-binned for taking Coote off the ball, Saints score another 2 or 3 tries, and it's all irrelevant.
If Louis McCarthy scores, you can't pick and choose. Flicking Sam Tompkins' foot when he's in the air and toppling him over.
You're picking and choosing these things.
You are. No, let me. Right. Okay, David. 1, you won. 2, let me fucking finish.
Yeah, but you're just talking bullshit, mate. Honestly.
Right. Well, let me finish because. You know, if you think everything I'm saying is bullshit, then what I'm about to say means that Sam Tompkins should have been given a penalty and they should have gone to kick for 2, because what I'm about to say is, all year, those circumstances, and if people don't remember, it was where Tompkins sort of ended up with his head between the tackler's legs, didn't he, when he was trying to get up and play the ball. So he played the ball off balance, and there was men still in at the ruck. But all year, consistently, in every game we've watched, it's been the responsibility of the man possessing the ball to find his space to play the ball, and Sam Tompkins didn't do that in that instance.
He did,
and it was giving us a knock-on like they have been all year. And then I think, did they speak out a turn maybe, and did it get turned into a penalty? I can't remember. I don't think it did. No, the referee saw sense and thought, it's a big moment, I'm not going to turn it into a penalty. But that relieved the pressure on Saints at that stage, didn't it? And from that point on, it kind of felt like the last 3 minutes, it wasn't going to go any other way then at that stage.
They missed, I think, before that. They really missed. They had us right under the cosh. They got 2 repeat sets on our line and had us right under a load of pressure. And I thought we were in significant trouble. And I wouldn't have been surprised if Catalan had scored at that stage.
Yeah, there was the knock-on, wasn't there? The wide pass that just fell in front of Tompkins when
passed into touch.
Yeah.
So I think they had the chances at our end of the field when they had, consistently good possession in our 20 for what felt like a year, but actually was about 3 sets. And they could have easily scored, but they didn't.
Then the tension was all fully removed when Tom Davies kind of stuck his hand out towards the ball when he was off balance, and it was one of those moments where you could see, you were sort of willing him to just not play at the ball because he clearly wasn't sure where the sideline was, and it was right in front of us where that happened. And yeah, unfortunately for him, he made the wrong call, and the ball went off him into touch, and that was that then, wasn't it? That was.
I'm not sure what he was thinking, to be honest. I mean, it was a decent kick, but he seemed to be back. I don't know whether he lost it in the lights or something, because he didn't look like he was either coming or going. He didn't look like he was coming to try and take the ball, or I don't know. I don't quite know what happened to him.
I think he got a bit uncertain about where the sideline was, so changed his body positioning, but as he did that, kind of lost the flight of the ball. I think it was because the ball was, I think, below the lights. It was quite close to him. He just got himself off balance, it looked like, at that stage. And obviously what he'd wanted to do was take the ball on the full so that he could keep it in play at that stage of the game. When people are tired, you want to be keeping it in play when you're the team chasing the game.
Maybe if he stepped into touch and patted it back in, it'd have been all right.
I don't know if he's got the same powers of a ballerina flight that Lachlan Coote's got.
maybe he didn't have a cloak of invisibility like Lachlan Coote obviously had.
But yeah, so at that point, relief and ecstasy, I guess.
Well, definitely more relief than anything, to be quite honest. It was such a tight game. It was just relief to get over the line. We were happy just to see it finished, and it be done, and us to have come through the other side. I think you know what it's like being a Wigan fan, and you know the same, Alan, being a Bradford fan, that when you've won a few, but by the time you get to the sort of the third ones, it stops becoming ecstasy and just starts becoming a bit of a relief. You don't want to, I think the players say this as well, don't they? The pressure becomes not to lose all the time rather than to win one. It always becomes not losing, and the pressure only builds, and eventually it'll crack, won't it? Probably sooner rather than later. That's why people don't win these trophies that many times on the run. So it was more relief than anything else, to be quite honest. We were really just relieved that it was all over.
Well, it was a close game. I think, from my vantage point, the first half was really fast and intense, in the way that Neil Ormston wouldn't like, but I think it gave a platform to see a bit more opportunities out wide as the game developed on after that first half an hour or so that Saints controlled. I don't think Saints controlled the second half quite in the same way that they did, say, the Challenge Cup final, for example. So credit to Catalans for upsetting that aspect of Saints' game, but they didn't quite do enough because they made too many dumb or unfortunate errors and penalties kind of scattered throughout the game. It felt like they never really sustained pressure on Saints' line, which possibly in the end meant that they, snatched a bit at a couple of the chances, and it didn't come off.
I didn't think they executed. I think they got themselves, which a lot of sides haven't done. I think they got themselves into a position to do some damage, but they didn't under pressure. And Saints' line puts you under a lot of pressure. Some people will say they're offside. I think it's just a very, very fast defensive line. So you've got to make your decisions fast.
It's a bit of column A, bit of column B.
Yeah, you've got to make your decisions fast, and you've got to execute quick, because if you don't, you're getting hit. So I just don't think they executed quite as well under pressure when they got themselves into a good position. And I think that was the story at the end of the day. Saints just managed to execute enough to get them over the line, but it wouldn't have been a travesty if Catalan had won. I think they had enough pressure and enough position, and even though the stats, were not in their favour, they had enough pressure and position to have won the game.
I think if you look at the stats and flip it around and give them maybe one more break and 30, 40 more metres, it'd start looking a bit more different and a bit more even. Alan, what was your sort of overall take on the game from watching from home?
I felt it was as tight as you would have expected it to be. I think the reason that we're all arguing about these individual decisions about this, that, and the other, whichever side of it you're on, it's because it was so tight. There's not a lot between these teams.
Well, yeah.
Ref and two touch judges. In fact, the whole of the refereeing.
Just one of the touch judges, to be fair.
Yeah, we all know Saints don't go into touching finals this year. It doesn't happen.
I forgot about the Challenge Cup final.
Yeah, well, apparently it's one foot's enough. Apparently.
One foot's big count.
But yeah, it was tight. It was tight as a gnat's chuff. And it does come down to those individual decisions. And that's why we're thinking about, should Mathieu have been sent off or sin binned? Should it have been a penalty try? Was it an 8-point try? I'd probably say yes to all three of those, but even so, it would have been just as tight, even if it was a 2-point Catalan ahead at the end. Do you know what I mean? I have no doubt that for me, they played out a very good final, a very tense final, not necessarily the highest of qualities. It felt like it was a game of individual very good moments, and I think that's why Nguema got man of the match, because he had the most outstanding moments.
Yeah.
And it doesn't harm to score in the 65th minute when all the journalists are starting to think about man of the match. That's, if you're gonna score a try, that's really good timing. But I have no beef with him being Harris Sunderland winner. Absolutely no problem with that at all. But yeah, it was very tight. It was just as tight as I thought it would be, which is why I went for a Catalan 2-point win. But I was just the wrong side of the fence.
Yeah, you could have easily been. You were closer than me actually, Alan, but you could have easily been right. It could have ended up that way.
Yeah, I mean, no one's still the Thunder, but if I was bothered about winning, I'd have just tipped Saints. But for the sport of it, I thought I went for Catalan. But there you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think you're right. There was maybe, if the game got close to having one or two spectacular moments, but it just had one or two good moments. But this is the thing with finals, and particularly with the grand final in the Northern Hemisphere when it's played. This was quite a warm day actually for a grand final, but it was drizzly like throughout the game really, which meant execution of skill needed to be even up a notch. And I think for the players to deliver to the level they did deliver was pretty impressive, to be honest. Anyway, but there just wasn't quite that super special moment that, there wasn't a moment like the Evolds try in the Challenge Cup final, kind of absolute glorious moment that was clearly the highlight moment of the game kind of moment. Maybe Wellesby's break was the closest we got when he took that interception and managed to make about 40 metres after it. But yeah, it was a close game between two fairly evenly matched sides, and when you get that, you get the side who's got just that little bit of more muscle memory of being in those occasions, finding ways, however those ways might come about, to win the game, and that's what. Yeah. Shall we? That's
right.
Shall we go for the fan views? I'll let Alan, you do the first. David, you the second. I'll do the third. We'll rotate that way.
Yep. So the first one is from Karsten, because he's in the future. A very intense game that was with a deserved winner. Catalan missed discipline in the first half and made some stupid mistakes, like Maloney missing touch. Didn't miss touch, but anyway. The sin bin from Mackinson was hard, but how did Moore miss that punch on Maloney? I guess he just wasn't looking that way. Congrats to David and all Saints fans.
Always. Sorry, go on.
Do you think he missed it because
I don't know what he's doing. Because he missed the initial incident, which was Maloney leading with his elbow into the tackle, which was why he got clobbered. And then he could see it was
referees often miss the first offence in those things, don't they?
It's always the
retaliation. 2014.
Yeah. The ball was well down the field, wasn't it? And he could clearly see that it was happening down there. His touch judge was, I think, in the vicinity, but he decided to just ignore it and get on with it.
I think they just didn't think it was
enough.
Much of anything happening. I think they probably looked at the players who were involved and thought, no one's throwing a punch, they're just having a bit of a thing. Let's see what's happening with the play, because something actually might be happening. But what they didn't realise is Mathieu isn't as nice on the field as his off-field personality.
And neither's Maloney.
Well, we know Maloney is a headhunter.
Yeah, he's a shithouse.
I just think I think their attention had moved on, and and Saints, I've said so many times, when they do, Saints are no less, they might be called the entertainers and all that, they're no less capable of being shithouses than any other team in the league, but they are smarter about when and how they do it.
So,